Welcome to the Game Winner Podcast. I'm your host, Boris. Hope. I'm here with Fasi, Tunga, Fasi, and Zach Carer. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are back
Baby,
with
we
that
are back.
NFL knowledge, that NBA knowledge. We'll serve it to you hot. We'll serve it to you cold. Happy to see you guys again. Uh, Fasi, Zach, how you doing?
Feeling good, bro. Feeling good. Just feel good. Feel good. Victory Monday type of deal. You know what I mean? As well as getting ready for the weekend. Thanksgiving's coming up, so just trying to prep for that, and also just staying busy overall.
There you go. Nice. Fasi, what about you?
Feeling great, man. Great to be back. Good to see you guys. It's probably the best time of the year. Football is in full swing. Excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. And on that note, football is in full swing. We had a good week this week. It wasn't maybe quite as crazy as some other weeks in the past, but still had some upsets, still had some crazy matchups. I think first we got to start it off with the Thursday night football game. The New England Patriots traveled to Atlanta against the Atlanta Falcons, and that was a blowout, a bloodbath, anything you want to call it. Patriots win 25-0. Mac Jones looks like a legit player, a legit rookie, and Matt Ryan looks washed. I mean, that offensive line is terrible, but overall, this Falcons team is just kind of a sad team. Zach, how you feeling about the Falcons and the Patriots for that matter?
I think with the Falcons, yeah, like you're saying, like Matt Ryan's a little bit washed, but I think you got rid of everybody. They're not the same after that Super Bowl run. Um, I think he should try to find a way to get out next year, let them kind of rebuild fresh, start over as an organization, and he should go somewhere to end off his career on a good note. You know what I mean? Sometimes new faces and new places is a good thing, and I think that'd be the best move for Ryan overall. As for the Patriots, though, I think, as the debate of Brady versus Belichick, who's the better person, I think they're both equally great because you see Brady doing it on his own, but Belichick can coach anybody, is what it looks like. With Mac Jones just playing smart, completing all his passes, 22 for 26, 207 and a tug. Um, and that boy's on fire. He's leading the Patriots in the East now for the Bills' little collapse. But I think Patriots are a team to look out for, a little sleeper in that division or in that conference overall.
Yeah, as far as this game goes, the Patriots just look like they've got it together. They got a good team. They're rallying around their guy. Their first round pick, the future of the franchise, Mac Jones. That defense is playing great. If you had the defense and you started them in fantasy football, they gave you quarterback numbers. So that defense is just playing lights out. The future is bright in Foxborough and the Atlanta Falcons. Man, you feel bad for Matt Ryan. The fall was
Yeah.
long and hard for him from his MVP caliber season. Former MVP, the guy was just throwing rockets. I think he had close to like 50 touchdowns that year, and now he can't even get a first down. So it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
watch Matt Ryan. I like the guy, but yeah, they definitely need to go back to the drawing board and make up for that embarrassment on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think this New England team, I think it's kind of like the old New England team, like when Brady was a rookie, where it was just you rely on that good offensive line, good defense, and good running game. Ramon Stevenson and Damian Harris both average over 5 yards a carry, got about 50 to 60 yards each. So they were consistently just moving the ball. Belichick's a good coach. He gets all, he kind of got poo pooed on last year, and I was hoping he would struggle, but he's shown that he's still a good coach and his method still works. I got to ask you, Fossey, uh, Mac Jones or Trey Lance right now, who would you take if you just draft them right now? Who you taking?
It's too early. It's too early. I
Oh,
mean,
all
Too
right.
early.
if you're asking me right now, Mac Jones is obviously the better quarterback out of this quarterback class. But
Of
long term,
course.
I think the 49ers did make the right decision in taking Trey Lance, but only time will tell. But as far
Okay.
as right now goes,
All right.
Mac Jones does look like the guy in Foxborough.
Okay. So you're going. I mean, all right. You're staying with Trey Lance for now. We'll revisit this next. We'll revisit this next year and see where we're at. I don't think Trey Lance is
Yeah.
like the greatest quarterback or anything, but right now he looks just like a solid starter that could grow into a better player with a couple more weapons around him, a couple more years ahead of him. I think he's got that potential.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to another game, another surprise. I wouldn't call that first one a surprise, maybe just because of the score itself. But this Colts
Yeah.
Bills game was a shock, honestly. I mean, the Bills are supposed to be a much better team than that. They're supposed to be a team that can compete to win a title, and now they're trailing to the New England Patriots. They look sloppy on offense for multiple weeks in a row now. And the Colts are just firing. I mean, they're firing on all cylinders, even though Carson Wentz threw for 106 and a touchdown, and they won 41-15. So that shows you
He didn't have
Jonathan
to.
Taylor's dominance. Probably the best running back in the league right now at this moment, with everybody injured and everything else happening. Zach, how are you feeling about Colts Bills?
Bills, they're looking sloppy on defense. I think that's their biggest weakness right now. Well, one of them. There's two. Defense is one. They can't stop anybody in the run game, as you know. It's with Jonathan Taylor killing it this week. But it's a consistent thing for them. Like they can't stop the run. They're making some probably bad decisions on D in the passing game. Well, it's like some penalties. But offensively, they're getting stuffed. There's no run thing. You can keep your hater rate on Zach Moss because he ain't doing anything again. Um, but they're really just stopping Diggs and Beasley and Gabriel Davis as well. So Josh has no one to throw it to, and he has to run, which is causing him to make poor decisions. And if you stop him from running, I mean that team is done. They have nowhere to go with the ball. So Bills need to clean up their defense and get their running game back in track. But the Colts, I had the Colts as like a heavy like Super Bowl contender. Um, if it wasn't for the two overtime losses, they would be on like a 7 game winning streak right now. So they're a team to look out for. I think their defense is clicking, offensively they're clicking all around. So you gotta watch out for that Colts team. They'll take out some heavy hitters in the playoffs if they can make it there.
Yeah, I'm not gonna crown the Colts just yet, only because they are just 6-5. They did put the smackdown on this Bills team, but the Bills have been struggling. I can hear these guys laughing in the background because I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I will. I traded away Jonathan Taylor, and a week later he puts up 50 points. Boris, you said it. He is a great player. He's the best running back in the league right now, hands down. But yeah, I'm not going to crown the Colts just yet. They did lose a lot of easy games. They probably should have won. They should have lost to the 49ers, but we gave them that game. But they do look really good, especially after the beatdown that they put on these Bills. And Josh Allen, what happened to him? I feel like his offensive line isn't giving him any time to throw the ball. And when he does get it to his weapons like Stephon Diggs, it is accurate. It's just a matter of him getting it to his weapons. Seems like he can't do that anymore, or as of late.
Yeah, I think this Bills team is struggling for sure. The Colts, I don't trust the Colts. The Colts feel like the Titans. They're very similar teams. They're
Yeah.
Jekyll and Hyde teams. They could be good, they could be terrible. You never know what you're going to get from them. They're like a box of chocolates. Like you just don't know. So I
Yeah.
think they're a decent team. Jonathan Taylor, that was a dumb move. It was a dynasty league, everyone. So he was a young running back, and he trades him at his prime for Mike Evans and Leonard Fournette. And I'm a Bucks fan, and that's an
Don't get
awful
into you
trade.
know
God,
they didn't need to know the details
no.
of that trade.
You brought it up, and
I still
I
got
had to give
fun.
the people the
I still
facts
got
because
fun.
people at home
Yeah.
were listening and wondering. And I was the commissioner of that league, and I almost didn't want to put it through because I don't know. I just couldn't believe it.
We'll see what
You know the
happens.
risk.
But yeah, Colts are hot. Bills need to get it together. They gotta start winning some of these games, or the Patriots are gonna take their lunch money, and it already feels like it's heading that way. But I'll cheer you up with this next one, Fossey. Moving on to the 49ers versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. 49ers 30-10 over Jacksonville. It's expected. You got to win that game. But you know what? They look good doing it. And I think that's the most important part of the whole situation. Garoppolo, 176, 2 touchdowns. He's not throwing a lot of yards, but efficient. And then I love seeing Ayuk, 7 receptions, 85 yards and a touchdown. Getting him more involved, getting him back into the offense is just good for everyone, including Debo Samuel, because that'll help bring some coverage away from him. So Fasi, go on. Let's hear your input on this 49ers win.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys. It's just the Jaguars. It's just the Jaguars. No, but
49ers are the
overall,
best team in the
In
league,
the league,
hands
dude. He's
down.
banking out here.
Super Bowl.
no, if I'm being completely
Quest for
honest, it is
six.
just the Jaguars. But I will say, very impressive win. Kind of like a get me up game. It was a short week. We came off a Monday night win against the Rams. We go straight into a early morning game across the country. So it's nice to see that they came out and played. Debo Samuel, he needs to be in the conversation for one of the top five wide receivers in the league. He's just making monster play after monster play week in and week out. And Jimmy Garoppolo, he's treating this adversity of bringing in a guy like Trey Lance and all the capital that we gave up to get Trey Lance, and he's taking it head on. He looks good. He's efficient. And as far as the Jaguars go, Urban Meyer's worst NFL coach in the league right now. Get him out of there. He's going to ruin Trevor Lawrence. They need to start all over. Get him a new coach. Trevor Lawrence could be great. He
Jesus.
just needs a new coach.
Dang. Didn't give the Jags no love right there. Gosh. Um, I would say I beg to differ on the Urban Myers thing. Trevor Lawrence isn't doing great because he has no line. You see him. I mean, if he gets time, he's good, but he doesn't get enough time to do anything. That defense or that team just needs a couple of years to kind of regrow. I think Urban Myers has to change his culture too. It's just a culture thing. You gotta give him at least 2 years fast before you just cut him like that. And then if Trevor can bulk up a little bit, that boy might be a little dangerous. Um, but as for the Niners, I would say like, yeah, you beat the Rams last week, which is an impressive win, but then you beat the Jags. That's two different like tiers of teams here. So I don't know if they're going to be clicking on all cylinders. We'll see how they play against Minnesota next week. But yeah, you like you're saying, you have Debo. He's a utility man who can do everything. If he throws the same numbers he's doing all year, he should be an MVP candidate because he does. He runs, he catches. He probably could throw too if you let him. Um, saying if you let him, you can probably throw dimes. Um, but that team overall is like looking good, like they're clicking. But I got to see him on a different team that they play against. And then Jimmy's playing for his job, so that's why he's probably being more efficient than we've seen before this year.
I think I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that the reason why quarterback is struggling is because he needs to bulk up.
Oh
I
shit,
don't think that's
he
Trevor
might need
Lawrence's
to. I
problem.
think he needs
I
to.
don't
I just
I
was talking
don't think
about
that's
today.
the I just
It's
don't
the
think that's the
offensive
issue.
line. It's the offensive line.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I was
Bulk's
talking
not
about
gonna help
somebody.
him. It's not gonna help him. He's not playing well. And the thing about Urban Meyer, they should cut him right away. I'm with Fossey. The culture,
Yeah,
he lost the culture with what happened
In
staying
Ohio.
in
yeah.
Cincinnati, losing like what I've never heard a coach doing that in
What
general.
an what an
Forget it.
idiot move.
Forget about cheating on your
I was
wife or
just saying.
not. Take that even out of the question. Just him staying back and not riding with the team by
Yeah,
itself is already like the weirdest thing I've ever heard. And then add on everything else and it's twice as bad. And he's supposed to be the
yeah,
leader of
fair.
your team. You hear him already. There's rumors that he's trashing multiple assistant coaches. The guy is a mess right now. So I think they got to cut him. I think he's going to be gone in the offseason. I would almost guarantee he's not coming back next year.
Yeah.
They'll bring somebody new in. They'll freshly clean the whole coaching staff and get him somebody that can actually coach him. Because Trevor Lawrence has skill. He's shown little pieces here and there. He just hasn't been able to put it together, and they're not
Yeah.
helping him.
No, get rid of him ASAP.
Yeah.
Give him the enemy.
49ers, you said they play the Vikings next week. That's
Believe so. Yeah.
that's a great matchup. I think that'll
That's
that'll
a
tell you. If they win that game, you start taking them seriously. If they lose that game, then they're a feisty team, but they're probably not going to go anywhere. I think that's kind of where you
they're
have them. Next week's a big week.
yeah. Because I mean, you beat the Rams, who's what it was like 7-2 or whatever, and then you play the
Hmm.
Jags, who are garbage. So it's like top end of the tier and bottom tier. So there's no real gauge on it. So if you play that middle of the pack team, then yeah, you're seeing it. Like, can you stop the run? Can you stop that offensive receiving core and everything like that. So that would tell you, yeah, if they're back or they're still middle of the pack team struggling in the West.
Yeah, it's a big game.
Well,
Big game for the 49ers.
one,
Yeah.
one more thing before we move on. That game has a huge playoff implications as far as that
Exactly.
last wild card game goes. So we need to just do what we've been doing these last 3 weeks, which is running the ball, controlling that time
Yeah.
of possession, and we'll be all right because these
Stick with
teams are
that.
very similar. They are.
They are
Yeah.
similar. Vikings are a tough team. I think the Vikings are a better team, if I were to be honest, on paper at least, or just in general. I think they're a
No,
better team.
exactly.
They could lose the game, but I would, it's going to be a good matchup. If the Niners win that, then you really start to take them seriously as a legit wild card, not just like a wild
Contender.
card team, because there's teams that make the wild card sometimes and you know that they just kind of are going to get knocked out right away. But if they win that game, you start thinking of them as a team that could possibly make a run in the
Make a
playoffs
run.
as opposed to that
Yeah.
first
Because
round
that run game.
knockout.
It
Yeah.
don't
Well,
matter
but
who's in the backfield. If we get our run game going into playoffs, it's over.
yeah, and by the time like the playoffs happen, you'll probably get your uh, DB group back, so like all your corners and safeties back healthy. So that's a good plus to have too running into that postseason.
Yeah, we got it. That should be a primetime game, but yeah, let's move on.
All right, moving on. Speaking of the Vikings took on the Packers. Green Bay won 34-31. Last second field goal to take the win. Aaron Rodgers had a big play at the end of the game to tie it, and then the Vikings go right down the field to win it. This game, Rodgers did his thing. I mean, 385 and 4 touchdowns. They were moving the ball. They were doing well. But Cousins, 341, 3 TDs. Dalvin Cook did his thing, 86 yards and a touchdown. It was a back and forth affair. Whoever had the ball last was going to win this game. And Packers came up short, which is rare in these interdivisional matchups. Zach, how are you feeling about the Packers and the Vikings?
I say the Packers be just fine, really. I think their defense just had some blown coverages. That's why you got Justin Jefferson going 162, 182 for 2 touchdowns. And some of them were just like blown. Hey, I just blown past you. I'm open. So I think if they kind of dial that in, Packers will be fine. You trust Rodgers to get you to the promised land every year. So I think that team will be good. But Vikings is kind of what we're talking about. They're a good team on paper, and they're a team to look out for. They just had some rough, couple of games, losing some close ones and sticking with it. So I think not surprising. I mean, the Vikings won, but it was a close win. But I think either team is going to have a chance to, make playoffs. I mean, Vikings got overall better balanced offense, and defense is okay.
Yeah, to me, this game looks like the little brother who just finally beat up their big brother, and this game could they needed that win. The Packers did because they're trying to stay in first with the Cardinals and the Bucks, and the Bucks came out, they won tonight. The Cardinals with Colt McCoy won their game,
Spoilers.
and
Spoilers.
oh, sorry, but
Well,
yeah, the
alert.
the Packers really needed to win this game, and you know what? Kirk Cousins and the Vikings had different plans for them. So hats off to Kirk Cousins. He came out, he balled. Their defense, they did what they could against Aaron Rodgers, but they gave him a fight, and that was like a NFC North, just old fashioned divisional game,
Dogfight.
high scoring, a lot of it was a lot of big plays, from both sides. Devonte Adams, he scored a lot of points for me in fantasy, so thank you to him. But yeah, the Packers need that win, and because now you're giving all this momentum to the Vikings, I'm scared as a 49er fan because now we got to play them next week, and they're coming off their high horse, beating Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, definitely upsetting to see that in Green Bay. I wish you guys would have won that game, so the Vikings wouldn't have all that confidence. But they'll be fine. It's just a matter of maybe 1 or 2 games for that first seed in the NFC. And I honestly think maybe the Bucks are gonna go on a little run here and take it.
I like to hear that. I think the Vikings played well on offense. I'm not going to give their defense too much credit. I mean, Aaron Rodgers threw for 385 and 4 touchdowns, 31 points. That was a good game for Rodgers, probably his best game of the year. So I don't. I think just the Vikings offense balled out, and that was the difference. I mean, it was an offensive, firefight. Both teams didn't play well on defense. If I was the 49ers, I'd feel good about that you can score on this team, but you got to be able to stop them because they are a potent, probably one of the more diverse and balanced offenses in the NFL. So they're going to be tough to stop, but I think they could pull it off. But Packers feel like, I don't know. Am I crazy to think the Packers feel like the same team as they've felt the last few years? Just like they'll go on a run, but they're not winning the Super Bowl. They're not gonna. I would be very very surprised if the Packers won the Super Bowl. There's probably 5 or 6 teams I would
They'll probably
pick
go
over them.
14-3. Yeah, they'll probably go 14-3 and then make it to NFC Championship and then lose it. It's probably gonna be like that, because the line doesn't give Rodgers any help. I mean, he has to
Yeah,
scramble half the time to make a play, and then even then, their defense is also a
No, I,
liability
I
sometimes.
definitely. Oh,
I think they're
go ahead.
missing some key pieces on defensive too. Oh, you're good.
yeah.
Go ahead, Foss.
My bad, bro. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. That team is feels more like a lot of mediocre players, with a couple of superstars. You got Rodgers, um, Adams, and Aaron Jones. But Aaron Jones is going to miss a few weeks. But yeah, that team just feels like a bunch of misfits who get together and rely on two, three players to take them to the promised land. And yeah, I agree with Boris. I don't think they're going to do anything in the playoffs. They'll go as far as Aaron Rodgers takes them, and if that's enough, great. If not, they need to help him. So yeah, I don't. I think the Bucks is probably gonna do something in the playoffs and probably go
Take
on a
the
run.
conference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also like the Cardinals. The Cardinals are still all hot. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is. We're not going over the Colt McCoy game, but he went off for a backup quarterback with no DeAndre Hopkins. So that team is dangerous. But I want to move on to the game of the week, the one that everybody was waiting for that really didn't live up to the hype at all, and that's the Chiefs Cowboys. Chiefs take off the win 19-9. I don't think anybody would have expected that kind of score for a game like this with two great quarterbacks, probably two of the best young quarterbacks in the league. And I mean, just not much, especially from Dallas. Prescott throws for 216 and 2 picks, but like 100 of those yards were in the last 10 minutes of the game or 5 minutes of the game. So he was doing nothing. Ezekiel Elliott, 9 carries for 32 yards, nothing. And it's not like Kansas City was going off. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, 260 and a pick. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had an okay game, but this was just a sloppy game for teams that have. I mean, I think the Cowboys have been a better team up to this point, but I actually thought the Chiefs were going to win because they're on a hot streak. But I didn't expect them to win like this. I didn't expect a defensive performance like that. So super impressive for the Chiefs. If they can win games like this on defense when Mahomes isn't playing the same, I think they become a very, very interesting team. Cowboys will be fine though. They're going to win their division, still make the playoffs. This just makes me a little worried about how far they'll actually go. How you feel about them, Zach?
Yeah, Dallas. I think you're in the same boat. Dallas is like that team that looks good, and when it comes to clutch time, they either will make that first round. They'll either be a first round out or they'll pass it and lose in the second round. I don't think they'll make a deep run. Um, but they're also missing like their defensive stars, Demarcus Lawrence and Gregory, and then their left tackle too. And now they're out with two receivers gone, with Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. So I mean, that's kind of, you got to look at a fluke loss in a way because they're not fully there as a full squad. Um, so once they get everyone back, I think they'll still be finish out the division like you said. Be up there top seed, but not probably will make a deep run. As for the Chiefs, though, their defense is tightening up. You move Chris Jones to I think more interior to allow better outside rush, and then their allows their corners to kind of play what they've been used to. So the Chiefs, I think, tying up on defense. Offense is going to be the same. They have all the weapons in the world. So I mean, they're on a hot streak, like you said, and they're going to probably be the same old Chiefs that we know.
Yeah, these Cowboys, man, they absolutely killed me in one of my fantasy leagues. I got Dak and CD, and that got me like negative points in this game. So Thank you. But again, Boris, you said it. They'll be all right. But this is kind of the things that make you scared. As if I was like a Cowboy fan, I'd be like, "What the heck? What was that?" Like, you can't expect to go deep into the playoffs when you have performances like this. Even if you're down a few guys on offense and defense. Boris, you mentioned it. The Cardinals, they're down their quarterback and star receiver. They're still finding ways to win. So these Dallas Cowboys, man, they got to get it together. They had Dak there. Dak should have won that game, but you know what? It is what it is. Chiefs had a great game plan. Patrick Mahomes, maybe they're back, maybe they're not. We got a few weeks more to see if they are, because this first half of the
Hmm.
season has looked horrendous for the Chiefs. So they're back in the win column in an ugly win, but huge question marks for both of these teams moving forward. Chiefs get the win. Cowboys, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, injuries definitely play a role, but you just want to see more from that offense. Even with the injuries, they still got Michael Gallup, they still got Ezekiel Elliott, they still got Tony Pollard, they still got Dalton Schultz and those tight ends. I mean, they got a lot of weapons, and CD was in the game when they were struggling, and then he got hurt. Like, it wasn't like he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
Um, but
Hmm.
you got to be actually, I'll give the Cowboys a little more credit. The only reason why is because they actually played the Chiefs really well after the Chiefs had a great game. So the Chiefs were hot last week against the Las Vegas Raiders. It looked like the old Chiefs. So you thought they could possibly, bring that into this week. And instead, I mean, Dallas defense played well. It was the offense that really struggled. You can have a performance like that on defense, and if the offense was like half as good as it usually is, I think they would win this game. So it's interesting. Both teams, I think, are in a weird spot right now. They both need a couple get right games to be in, feel better about themselves because they're both kind of limping along right now. So both teams need that.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Steelers Chargers. We got to start
Chargers.
with
Yeah.
Zach on this because he's the Chargers expert, and your boy Justin Herbert had himself a game. So go ahead, Zach, take the floor.
Hey, I mean, these bolt gang or don't bang is what they used to say back over there. Now Chargers are looking good. I mean, they're clicking again.
Nobody's ever said that.
Melvin Ingram did
That's
say that.
you made that up.
Melvin Ingram said that. That was his thing.
Okay.
But
And
besides the
now he's
point.
on the
Besides the
Steelers,
point.
isn't he?
uh, I thought he was. I think he got traded. I don't
Oh,
know.
he got cut
Regardless,
or
the point.
something. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, he wanted out. But regardless, the Chargers are back on their tempo. Right, first 5 weeks they're looking good. Had a couple slumps. They can actually finish a game. And I think that's the biggest thing is that we stopped the run. Najee only had like 39 yards and a touchdown, but he didn't break for a bunch of yards like they did with Dalvin Cook or Nick Chubb. So I think tightening up that defensive line for the run game is very helpful. So they're looking good there. Passing game, Mike Williams is a G, uh, getting that 40-yard throw, and then we're talking about Jonathan Taylor all earlier in the show. Austin Eckler's got 4 touchdowns, 100 something yards or so. So he's another running back that's very versatile and helps the team. But I thought they were gonna blow it. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely thought the Chargers were gonna blow it with the Steelers blocked punt in the tip off the helmet, bro.
Yeah.
I was nervous. I was like, Chargers
Chargers
are gonna
gonna
charge you,
Charger.
and I was like, here we go. That's how it is. Turn off the lights. But we also had a big game from Keenan Allen, which really helped coming in clutch in those uh, quick, third down possessions or short yardage conversions that we needed. And then the Steelers, man, they're still a good team. But Ben actually was impressive for having a week off, being sick as a dog. So I'm surprised how well they did and how their defense like kind of stuck with them. So it's my 2 cents on Steelers.
Yeah, so this game, this was a game. First, I thought it was going to be kind of boring, kind of not both of the teams kind of struggled
How
with the
dare
ball.
you say
I
that?
know the Chargers scored on their first drive. I think they scored, but after that it kind of cooled down. Then Chargers started getting in a groove. Justin Herbert, man, he is the truth. He's going to be great for the Los Angeles Chargers for a long time. So you guys got a guy, and the what's his name, Eckler. He is criminally
Yeah.
like underrated
Say
in
criminally
in national media. Yeah, like he needs to get more because he does this on a weekly basis. One, two, three touchdowns. Last
touchdowns,
night he
3
had four
passing, running.
touchdowns. So yeah, this guy is a stud. He needs to get more recognition in the league and nationally with the media. But this team looks good. They almost lost it. I thought they were going to Chargers going to Charger. They were up
Mm-hmm.
14 points. Big Ben comes back and
Preach.
they tie the
Yeah,
game. But uh, Justin Herbert, he basically said, "Not on my watch," and he threw it to a wide open Mike Williams, and they win the game. I thought it was going to go to overtime. I would
yeah.
have liked that, but good for the Chargers, man. You guys get a big win in front of a national stage. You guys
Stage. Yeah,
are getting it right back into it because what was it like the last 2 weeks? I think you guys lost your last two games or something like that. Everybody's like wondering is the Chargers going to Charger, but you guys come out get a big win
yeah.
against Big Ben and the Steelers. Najee Harris did his thing. Chase Claypool had a few big games, but I think it's safe to
Johnson
say that
killed it.
this this char this Charger regime is or this Steelers regime is back at the drawing board. They're not going to do anything special this year. They're just probably waiting for Big Ben to retire, and then they'll move on from there.
Yeah, Steelers got to draft a new quarterback. But I want to talk about the Justin Herbert thing. I mean, he just went off 382, 3 touchdowns and a pick, and he ran for 90 yards, which he was like the first quarterback to ever have a stat line like that, ever. He's legit, like top 3, top 5 type guy. I mean, he's in that conversation for sure. Chargers are an interesting
Yes.
team. Eckler's a beast. Uh, they're just a fun team to watch, but they're also a heart attack waiting to happen every week. You never know what you're going to get. So they remind me of they're in that same boat as the Colts, the same boat as the Titans. Like they have some elite players, but they still have these like games where they look like a completely different team on either good or bad. So you never know what you're going to get. Hopefully with more time the
Yep.
team just becomes more consistent. But good game overall. Good to beat that. I mean, I did not expect them to score 41 points on the Steelers defense, which has been generally a pretty good defense. So that's probably the most impressive thing of all. But you want to see a little more from the defense because they should be able to just shut down Big Ben, and they didn't do that. So offense great, defense still have some things to be worked on. But Zach, you gotta be happy with this team. This is an exciting team. It's fun to be a Chargers fan right now. L.A., San Diego, doesn't matter where they're at.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's an exciting year for them. It's probably the most hype I've had for this team uh, for years. I mean, last time was probably Anthony Lynn when we went like 13-4 or whatever. That one year with Philip Rivers, that was like the
Yep.
last hype. But this team's exciting. Brandon Staley's got this team rolling, and I think the culture he's building is exciting. That's what it is. From what the media is saying, like his buzz that he's giving to this team is uh, amazing, and all the players are for it. They like how he's going about it, what his points are, and then very kind of keep it simple. But yeah, they tie it up, man. They'll be good. And I was mistaken. Eckler only rushed for 50 yards. Herbert was the leading rusher in that game for the Chargers with 90. Um, but their
Well, Eckler
secondary needs to
had the
tighten up too. I
60,
think
60 receiving yards or something like that.
5 receiving.
Who?
Yeah, yeah, but Herbert had the led the team in rushing, so
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was
which is
killing it.
crazy. Yeah, 90. But Chargers clean up the secondary. I think a lot of it we get these PI calls all the time, and I think blown coverages by number 25 Chris Harris Jr. But if they clean that up, they'll be good, dude. They're an exciting team. Can't wait to see the next few weeks, the rest of the month of November.
Absolutely. All right. Let's go to the final game of the week, the Monday night matchup. Let's talk about some real football. Oh, that was all just play games. That was just messing around. Just talk about a couple okay teams. But now we're talking about a
Yeah.
real team. Tampa Bay Buccaneers win 30-10, and everybody's gonna be talking about Tom Brady. Everybody's gonna be talking about Mike Evans, but I'm gonna talk about Blaine Gabbert. 2 for 2, 11 yards, 100% QBR. I mean, this guy is a monster. He doesn't miss. 2 for 2, 11 yards
Doesn't
at the end
miss.
of the game. So Oh, well, he had 2 rushes for -2 yards, so he's not perfect. He's not going to be he's not a superstar per se. But no, in reality, Brady did his thing. 307, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. The pick wasn't his fault. It was Mike Evans' fault. Hit him right in the hands, popped up. That was really the only play of the game that was a terrible, terrible play. Penalties have
Yeah.
kind of ruined this team, and they're continue to show up constantly. So that's an issue. But in this game, they were just completely outmatching the Giants in every single way. And it was good to see players like Gronk back out there healthy. Once they get Antonio Brown back, this team is just loaded. Chris Godwin catches everything. Mike Evans is consistent. He had that one bad play, but follows it up with a big man TD. And overall, Bucks are hot right now. They needed this win to kind of move back into that positive status. They play the Colts next week, and I think that's going to be a huge test and a huge matchup. But I like their chances because the Colts' strength is in the running game, and the Bucks are the best run defense in the NFL. So if there's anybody that can stop Jonathan Taylor, it would be them, especially for a team that focuses on the run so much that you take that out and they're not nearly as good. So Bucks, big win. Fasi, how you feeling about the Bucks and the Giants? I didn't give them any love because I don't really care about them.
So yeah, you said it, man. These Bucks, they came out, they dropped two in a row. They had to come out here on Monday Night Football and make a statement. That's exactly what Tom Brady did. He hasn't lost 3 games in a row since like 2001 or something. So good for Tom Brady. That was like 20 years ago. Man, the guy is insane. I think he rushed for like 12 yards tonight too on a QB run. So good for him. He keeps on getting better and better with age. But just the way that this Bucks team rallies around Tom Brady, around what they want to do, everybody is bought into this team. They're gonna be dangerous. Um, you can go down the list. Mike Evans, 6 catches, 73 yards, touchdown, consistent. Rob Gronkowski, 6 touches, 71 yards, and then Chris Godwin, six catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. The guy Tom Brady knows how to make his players happy. Everybody's happy over there on offense and defense. Coaches are happy, and the Giants, man. Poor Danny Dimes. He's played in 8 prime time games, no wins. The guy can't win for anything on prime time. Saquon Barkley, he's just coming back from injury. This Giants team doesn't look good. They're probably going to be the laughing stock for the NFC for another year or two. They need to get it together, but yeah, Boris, your Bucks are looking great. I gotta give you credit where it's due, but hopefully Jonathan Taylor doesn't run over you, all over you guys next week. Hopefully that defense has a great game plan for him.
Well, that'd be good for your fantasy team, right? If he did. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
No, don't even worry about it, man. Don't even worry about it. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. What about you?
Hey, I need Mike Evans to go off for me next week.
Yeah, you do.
He might with that offense. Like to your point, Foz, like yeah, the team I think rallies around Brady. I think those 2 losses for Brady is like a blessing in disguise, right? He hates losing, so taking 2 back to back is probably gonna put a fire up his butt, and he's gonna just start killing teams the rest of the year, kind of like how they had that run last year. Um, and then if they just get the secondary healthy, that team's gonna be rolling, lights out. And I think the Bucks are just scary, and then Brady's gonna start kicking butt. As for the Giants, I think they found their new receiver in that lineman. They should probably start him at tight end. He's the only one catching balls for him and touchdowns. I
There
think
you go.
gotta get the big guy some love. You know what I mean?
There you
Um,
go.
because the Giants have nobody. There's no one to throw to really. Saquon, like we
What?
talked about, Boris is a very shaky, hit or miss running back. I can have a great game, but I can have a
Hmm.
majority of bad games. Um, and they have no one to really throw. Like everyone left that team and the receiving core, so they either got to start from scratch or really try to sell the Giants, New York, to the free agents because Danny Dimes has no help except for that lineman who's got hands. So give him the ball more.
I gotta disagree with you, Zach, on the weapons for the Giants. Just
What?
a little bit. They
They
got
got Kenny
Kadarius
Kenny
Tony.
Galladay,
They got Kenny
Sterling
Galladay.
Shepard,
They got Sterling Shepard. They got
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley. That team is loaded with weapons. They just haven't been healthy all year, but this was the first game they
Evan
were healthy.
Ingram.
Yeah, Ingram. I mean, the team
Yeah,
is
I mean,
loaded with weapons. I think that the Giants, I didn't talk about the Giants at all. I think the Giants, the Bucks defense played them really well. I mean, they really held them to 3 points, and that touchdown was just, I mean, they got the ball at like the 5 yard line or whatever it was. So that was inevitable on that turnover. But overall, that Giants team needs to play better. Their defense was playing better up to this point. They didn't have a good game this week. I have a comparison for you guys. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Are we at a point where we can call Danny Dimes the Jameis Winston of New York? I mean, because that's what I'm seeing right now. He has some good games. He has some bad games. He's throwing interceptions, fumbles at like the worst times. That interception he threw to the Bucks, the lineman, was just like he couldn't believe. He couldn't believe. Steve McClendon couldn't believe that he got that ball in his hands. What a terrible throw. So I think we're at a point where Danny Dimes feels like Jameis Winston with a little less talent. Am I wrong?
nah, that's fair because he had like games in the beginning of the year where he's throwing 300 yards, throwing up good fantasy numbers, and now he's just struggling. So yeah, not the same 30 for 30, but yeah, I get you. I can agree with that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a fair comparison. The guy, I mean, he
Jameis is
just,
better, but
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
Jameis can throw 30
he
touchdowns and
he had a he
500
had
yards.
a 80-yard rushing touchdown and he tripped.
okay. Well, I'm
It was like
Daniel Jones can run the
it was
ball.
like last year or
I
something.
didn't factor that in, but also, do you see how fast he was running? That dude. I mean, can you blame him for tripping? He was going way too fast. Way too fast. It was
He was
illegal.
running.
He was passing up Tyreek Hill, giving up the peace sign, and he tripped. You know what are you gonna do?
Yeah, but yeah,
His
that
head
is a
was too
fair
far forward.
comparison. I mean,
That's his feet.
I do think that Jameis Winston is probably a little better than him, but yeah, that's probably like Jameson 2.0 right there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Jameis is better. I just think that they have a lot of similarities in the turnovers, and it's not just turnover. It's not just turnovers. It's like the type of turnovers where you're like, oh my god, I can't believe you threw that ball like that. That
Yeah.
was unbelievable.
And it's like a turnover a game, like a +2 every
At
game he
least,
has. So
hmm
Yeah,
whether it is a fumble, it's a pick, um, things like that. So
and it's
I
tough
can see
because you
it.
see the potential in them because they have those big games, those big throws.
yeah,
But then you watch too closely, and all of a sudden, something bad happens. So I don't know.
Yeah, not true.
All right, guys. Well, good to be back. Good to get everybody back. That was a good recap of the week. Next week, you have a lot of good matchups, so stay tuned. We'll be recapping everything once again next Monday night. So keep your podcast dialed, and we'll see you next week.
Wait, got a
go
question,
Niners,
boy.
go
Oh, you
Niners.
got a question. What's up,
Question,
Zach?
question.
I was starting the
Oh,
theme song, and you throw a question in there.
I got
Yep.
you, bro. And I
All
lag on
right.
there. What do you feel about LeBron getting suspended for one game?
All right, we got to
Oh,
go.
Coincidence.
No, I'll get back into it. All right, the LeBron thing. Um, yeah,
That
he
was super
deserved the
intentional.
suspension. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were battling back and forth. It was intentional. He should have gotten the suspension. I don't think any more about it than that. I mean, we've seen a lot worse plays. He just
Yeah.
caught him in the wrong spot. I don't think he meant to make him bleed like that. I think he meant to send a message, but I don't think he meant to send that much of a message.
Yeah. 'Cause he swung pretty hard at that dude's
Yeah,
face.
but they had been battling. He was battling the whole
Yeah.
time. I agree. He deserved the suspension, and I think he would agree with that too. But I'm not gonna say like LeBron's some crazy dirty player who's been
Just
suspended once. That's how I
took
feel
him
about it.
19 years to get that. I just thought I'd bring it up.
That's probably the first time he's actually
And
deserved
then
it.
let's just talk
yeah,
about the Warriors real quick. Yeah.
yeah. Let me chime in real quick on that. I think that's all
Go ahead.
from frustration of how his Lakers are playing because they suck. Let's just face it. All those superstars, one ball, they don't know how to play with each other. LeBron wants to win, and you see the frustration of them losing. He gets suspended for the first time in his career off of something that doesn't even really matter. So, I mean, LeBron, um, whether he deserved it or not, I think he does, but people will say otherwise. But you know what? They need to start winning. I think it's pretty safe to say that if they continue down this road, they're not even going to make the playoffs. They're 9-9 right now. I don't know what
Yep.
they're going to do in the future, but hopefully they get it together because I'd like to whoop on them in the playoffs. Being a Warrior fan because we are solid, and
Killing it
hopefully
this year.
LeBron, hopefully they get it together because it'd be nice to see him in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think they will.
Well,
I
the thing
mean,
is,
I
like,
don't. They'll be great. I don't think they'll be like a powerhouse, but I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll turn it around a little bit.
yeah, I mean, I feel
I
like you
don't
got to
know.
learn how to play without
The
LeBron.
West got some teams,
West isn't the same as it
but
was last year.
it's LeBron, it's the Lakers. They'll find a way.
Yeah.
Well, it's like as the Lakers, you got to learn how to win without LeBron, right? You have AD and Russ, like those two together should be killing, should be dominating, but they're not playing without LeBron on the court, and that's their biggest weakness is learn to win without him, like dominate with those two. Because LeBron shouldn't be your saving grace every time.
Yeah, especially when
Right?
he's
He's
like
back. They should
37
start winning
years
by
old.
30. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
let
he's
him take
getting
a
up
rest
there.
day, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that team needs to figure it out without LeBron. And that was the same thing with the Cavs. How do you win without him on the court? It's the same thing. And then you see, Kyrie coming up here and there, but he's not dropping 30 by himself. So Russ and AD need to put that together. But those Warriors, they better be that 72-10 or 9, 73 and 9.
No,
No,
no way.
they're, they're
They'll,
not in
they'll,
that
Nah.
range.
they'll win. They'll win most,
Well, if you look
maybe
at it,
60, but
well, they're looking
let's
at the
just get to
average.
the
Like
playoffs.
they won 10 games, lost one. Now they won 3, they lost 1. So I mean,
Yeah.
they lose 1 every 10 games. They can get there
Yeah, you can get
again.
there, but they started hot. They're gonna probably get a slump at one point. You assume every team kind of goes through it. If Steph Curry even has the
Yeah.
minor injury and is out a couple games or something happens, then there's a lot of factors. There's just a lot of factors that play into that. I wouldn't bank on it, but they're the hottest team in the NBA right now, so
Yeah.
they're running it. They're doing great.
Gary Payton.
I think it's crazy the whole MVP chants in other cities, which is pretty embarrassing for the Nets fans and for Cleveland fans. But Warriors are going off. They deserve all the credit they're
Yeah.
getting. Yeah, it's a good
My
season.
thing is like, do you think when they add Clay, if they add Clay, does that ruin the vibe? You think,
No,
or does it make it all better? I mean, I don't know. I feel like you have this like flow you're going without him, and then if you add him, does that change like Andrew Wiggins' production, or does it change
yeah, yeah.
Gary
Wiggins won't
Payton's
score
role
as
or
many
something like that?
points if that's what you're asking. Wiggins isn't going to score as many points.
Mhm.
That's just natural. I mean, the ball has to go somewhere, but
Yeah,
they're going to be a better team
yeah,
for
yeah.
it. So that's all that matters.
Okay, fair. Just thought I asked. Throw that in the
Yeah,
mix.
he's been in the system too long. There's no way that they put him in there and then it all goes downhill from there. He knows the system. He knows how to work with old and new players. They got Iguodala and they got the new guys Jordan Poole, Gary Payton, Juan Toscano Anderson. They all know. They've all practiced with him. They'll know how to get
Yeah,
out there and work with him on the floor, especially for as long as he's been in the system. They'll know he'll be just fine and he'll take their game to another level.
yeah, fair.
Absolutely.
Cool. Any other notes you guys want to address sport wise?
All right, guys. You guys have any NHL topics you want to go over? Or are we good for that? Or PGA, the PGA Tour,
What
the
Tampa
PGA
Bay
Tour.
Lightnings are doing pretty good, I think.
Yeah. All right.
No,
With
it's
that
like
being
other sports,
said,
man.
we'll see you guys next week. We'll talk a little bit more basketball and football. We'll bring it all together once again. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. And we are out. Peace.
Peace. Dropping on Tuesdays.